All right, so with the health care debate sucking up so much air in Washington, other programs the president was hoping to get passed have fallen by the wayside, perhaps. Well, joining me now from New York to talk about it, Buck Sexton, a national security editor at theblaze.com, and Bernard Whitman, a Democratic strategist. Good to see both of you. So, Buck, you first. Is this making it difficult? Will it make it nearly impossible even for the president to get anything else done in his second term, from immigration reform to green energy, other environmental issues, and even federal appointments?
Well, I hope so. But the truth is this. It's fundamentally shifted the ground, the sort of architecture of a much broader discussion, which had been, should you pass very large bills that you have to pass to find out what's in them? That now seems to be something in dispute. It seems like there's a much better argument to be made, for example, on immigration reform, to pass things in a piecemeal fashion. Part of the problem with Obamacare is that it's so large, so unwieldy, that it wasn't possible for them to actually meet their own deadlines for the administration. So when you look at some of the other issues on President Obama's agenda, one, I think it gives the Republicans an opening to pass things in a slower, smaller fashion, to slow down, if you will, the legislative mechanism. And also on top of that, I think they're just going to dig in because they want, as much as possible, 2014 to be about the rollout of this disastrous law. Not just the rollout, by the way, the application of this disastrous law. It's only going to get worse. The website is just the tip of the iceberg. So you're saying there's an advocacy to not get things done? Yes, when it comes to comprehensive immigration reform that might have a path to legal... But that doesn't even sound productive, no matter what side of the aisle you're on. Well, it depends on what you think is productive. If you think it's bad legislation, you don't want it to go through. And when you see, for example, on comprehensive immigration, the one thing that both sides always agree on is that they want border security. Republicans, the GOP in the House, they've said, yeah, let's do that. Let's get through border security first. President Obama says, no, let's have a huge bill. So the notion of passing everything at once, I think that's going to be a harder sell to the American people, given what we've seen with Obamacare. How do you see the landscape, Bernard?
Buck just outlined the entire Republican strategy, which is not to legislate anything at all, to obstruct, to delay, to point fingers, and to blame. The truth of the matter is all of these things are connected. Healthcare reform, economic reform, tax reform, immigration reform. And the best thing for the country, and actually for both parties, is to pass comprehensive immigration reform. Why? Because we've got 11 million undocumented workers that contribute a huge amount to the economy. If we could get comprehensive immigration reform passed, that would add $1.5 trillion to the economy over the next 20 years. It would cut the deficit by $1 trillion. And clearly what Boehner, who has very little control over his caucus, has decided is, I'm just going to sit this out. I'm going to sit out tax reform. I'm going to sit out immigration reform. And unfortunately, the American people will suffer. Here's the rub. We actually can point to a recent time in 2011 when the two parties did come together to pass a mixture of tax increases and spending cuts. What has happened? The deficit has been cut in half, both in terms of real dollars and as a percent of GDP. So when the two parties do come together, we actually can get things done for the country. Unfortunately, the speaker's made it clear he has no interest in doing so. All right, Bernard Whitman, Buck Sexton, thanks so much. Good to see you both. We'll have to leave it there. Thank you.